We're less than a few days away from the start of the season, and from the very beginning, one of our goals has been to improve each and every day. And we're not always accomplished this goal because our team is still learning how to work. They don't understand that every second is very meaningful. And what they have to realize, and we have to continue to teach them, is all about hard work and just team effort. And we're not a team that can turn the switch on and off. That switch always has to be on for us as a football team. You know, when I was walking in there, I was just thinking, I was like, what kind of team do you think we're going to have? Right now, we have no idea because we haven't played the game. But the teams that I've been around, the teams that are successful, are the teams that are mentally and physically tough, naturally competitive, teams that are smart, teams that are disciplined. And I look at this football team and I say, will this be a team that's going to be complacent? Will it be a team that's self-satisfied? A team that is arrogant? A team that is going to live on the expectations? Or will it be a team that's going to be hungry and a team that's going to be humble? That's what I think about with this football team. And what we have to realize that this team has to continue to do is just block out the expectations and come to work each and every day. And we've tried to get that, and we try to manage that through preseason. And preparation is going to be the key. It's all about preparation. It's about that with the coaching staff. I tell our coaching staff, guys, this team is going to go as you go. And we prepare them each and every day, attention to the small details and the little things. And then this team has a chance to go develop and grow and become a team each and every week. It has to happen. We have to get better each and every week. We have to improve each and every week. And we have a Kentucky team that's coming in here. That's a very good football team. Similar to us in a lot of ways. Similar to us. It's a young football team. We're still a young football team. Look at their quarterback, Max Smith. He came in, did a very good job when he came in and controlled the team, and then before he went down in the Georgia game. Then you look at Warford, a really good football player for them. Their center's a really good football player for them. LeRod King is an outstanding wide receiver. Then you look at them on defense with Collins, with Rump, with Mr. Cobble, three big guys that control the middle. And you have to be good. When you talk about a football team, you want to be good up front. Their defensive front, the three big guys. Then you look at them in the secondary with Mickey Benton being an outstanding player. But they have some players that are really outstanding. And when you look at a rival game, the players, everybody's all excited. Everyone gets excited because it's a rival. You know, you look at an hour away. But it's two really good football teams. You look at our football team, you look at our on offense with Teddy Bridgewater, with Stein. And I told Stein, we had a conversation. And I told him, I said, you know what, Teddy's a starting quarterback, but there's no reason for you to back away. I want you to continue to push him and make him become a better player. Because if he becomes a better player, then you're going to become a better football player. And that's what has happened in preseason camp. The running back position, you look at Jeremy Wright, you look at Dominique Brown, you look at Norris Perry. Three solid running backs. You know, whoever wins that position is going to be a guy, is going to be an every down player, someone who can run the ball, can run behind his pads, someone who can also catch the football. But we're very fortunate to have three really good players at that position. The wide receiver position has been the surprise of preseason camp at the wide receiver. When you look at the camp that Copeland's had, look at Andrell Smith. We had a team meeting yesterday, and I told everyone, in front of everyone, I said, Andrell Smith, in the years that we've been here, has probably had the most productive preseason camp that he's had. And he's really stepping up and he's really becoming a player for us. You still have Eli Rogers. You have Devontae Parker, who's really developing into his own. You have Gaines. But we have enough guys there at the wide receiver position. With us losing Michael Lee, where you don't ever want to lose an outstanding player, but with us losing Michael Lee, we still have enough players there that we can go out. They can compete each week for us. And then the tight end, Nord, is a player that I told the story at the luncheon. Nord came into my office and tried to quit. And I said, Nate, I'm just going to tell you this right now. It's not going to happen. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it. I'll bring Coach Watson down there. We're going to sit down. But you're not going to quit this program. You're not going to leave this program. He had graduated. Right now he's in the MBA program. But, you know, we needed Nate Nord. We needed Nate Nord in this program. And outstanding players really had an outstanding camp for us. And then you look at our specialists and everything. With our offensive line, I always tell our O-line that in order for our offensive line, in order for our defensive line, in order for this football team to be a really competitive football team, then in the trenches is where it has to happen. So you look at Cupper, you look at Mario Benavidez, you look at Miller, you look at Jamon Brown, you look at Jake Smith. you have 5 players that are returning that have had starts from last season. So those 5 players are coming back with that offensive line. And then we have some guys like a Georgia, like a Mac, guys that can alternate in there and just give us some help. So right now with that offensive line, we feel really good about it because it's a really solid group for us. And it's a group that is gelling, because when that group gels for you, the whole team gels. And that is what's happening right now with that offensive line. And then you go to the defensive side of the ball, our defensive front. When I talk about the offensive front, our defensive front, Marcus Smith is a player that we took at quarterback. We moved him to linebacker. We moved him from linebacker down to the defensive front, has put on a lot of weight, and has had an outstanding camp for us. Brendan Dunn lost some weight. Now B. Dunn is really becoming a voice on defense. A guy that plays with a lot of energy, a guy that has a lot of fun. B.J. DeBose is having an outstanding camp for us. Malden, Mount, you have those guys there, Roy Philon. But we have some guys there at the defensive front. There was a young group last year because you only lost Scruggs, but Bill, but you have some guys who are coming back that can help us right now at that defensive front. And then the linebacker position, you go Preston Brown, you go Daniel Brown, you had Durant, you have 3 guys that you have Daniel and Preston both have started for us, and then you have the 2 young freshmen with Keith and Burgess. So you have enough depth there at the linebacker position, and you return all 4 of your starters in the secondary with Pryor, with Akeem Smith, with Bouchelle, with T. Floyd, with Drew Johnson. So you have enough guys there that in your secondary where you can play some players down. You know, what has happened is, you know, just to our coaching staff and the job they've done a good job of recruiting. So you've been able to recruit some players in there. So now when you do lose a player, but you know, God forbid if he was to get injured, you have someone who can step up and who can replace him where you feel comfortable putting that next guy in. And that's what we have to continue to build here. We have to continue to build guys that bring into this program with good character, guys that are responsible players, and people that really want to be here. Just taking pride. We have to take pride in this program. And the expectations here are high, very high right now. You know, we have preseason ranked football team, but we haven't talked about it. I don't even talk to our players about it because I want them to understand that you have to work. It doesn't matter where you start. It's going to be about where we finish. And that's why we have to finish every play. We have to finish everything we do. And that's what it's all about. You know, you look at the specialists and you're looking at it right now, it's a concern for me is our kicking game. You know, with John Wallace and Nakatani being the kickers, haven't been consistent at practice. And we kick a lot of field goals, but one of those guys had to step up and had to earn that position. You know, with Appleby and with Ryan Johnson, those 2 guys are really pushing each other. And then with Donovan, he does a great job of snapping. But the kicking game is so critical. You know, you win games in your kicking game, and it has to be critical. And those guys have to step up and start making the kicks and doing what we ask them to do. You know, and I'm not. And I said to you right now, they're not very pleased with how it's going in the kicking game. But just overall, you know, you look at this football team, you know, it's exciting that we have this game coming up, and it's a big game for us, a rival game for us. But it's going to be a good battle. It's so critical that we go out and just play hard. I just want to see our team just go play hard, and everything else will take care of itself. But we go out there and we play with confidence, and we compete, and we give them a plan that our guys can run around and they can play fast and play with energy. That's what we want to see happen this coming Sunday against a really good Kentucky football team.
Charlie, how have your guys handled all that noise as far as ranking expectations? Or is that something you can tell in practice, or do you have to see it on Sunday in a game situation?
Well, what we tried to do, you know, if you remember early, there was a lot of talking going on about a banner here and this. But I said to them, it doesn't matter what is said because you're going to be able to go prove it on Sunday. But we've tried to just block the noise out. And I don't even talk about it. I don't even bring it up because I want our players to understand the battle is going to be won on the field. It doesn't matter what people rank you. About 2 weeks ago, I put up a sheet in a team meeting, and I talked about teams that have been ranked and where they started the season and where they ended the season. And the very few teams that are ranked number 1 end up number 1. And very few teams in that top 25 end up in the top 25.
Yes. Your starters, a couple of people, T. Floyd and George Durant. Can you talk about how they won starting position?
Well, with T. Floyd, Drew Johnson got an injury in practice, so he was out about 3 or 4 days. So He didn't lose his position. He lost his position because he just wasn't out and just wasn't in enough. But T. Floyd and him were shoulder to shoulder anyway. And then with Durant has just had an outstanding camp. And Durant's been in this program long enough, very smart. And the thing about it with our defense, it's not a defense where you have to learn a lot, but guys have to know where to be in the right places. And Durant has done a good job with that. And it's really became over us, and just like his whole attitude and the way he's working. Yes.
When you look at Kentucky's defensive front, what's the main thing that concerns you, that really stands out about them that you have to guard against on Sunday?
Well, you look at Collins, he's an outstanding rusher, and with Rump and Mr. Cobble being in the middle, you look at two big guys, you're going to have to move, and we're going to want to run the football. So it's going to be our concern is can we move those guys out of the way and go run the ball? Because if you're strong enough up front, which Kentucky has a strong defensive front, they can create issues for you.
Coach, you didn't have Mario for this game last year. What kind of impact could he have in this game with that front?
Well, with Mario, he's been in a program now. This is his 4th year. He's a senior, and you're right. A year ago, he didn't play in this game. But now, with him coming back, at least it gives us the experience that we need.
Charlie, I know you said you don't want to have a running back by committee. You'd like to settle on one guy. At what point do you make that decision so that guy can start really getting all the snaps in practice?
Well, what we try to do in practice now, we do a lot of work against one another, a lot of scout work. So all the running backs, they understand the offense. So now when that guy was said, when we plug him and say, hey, you're the starter, then we're just going to go with it. But probably by Tuesday or Wednesday, someone will be that guy.
Will we see any sets with 2 of those guys in the backfield at the same time?
You know what? When Watt does a good job of getting the ball in the right people's hands, it probably will happen.
What do you see as the advantage and the disadvantage of playing one running back versus several guys and then fresh legs and that sort of thing?
Well, that's what you just said it. Where if a guy gets tired, then you always have a guy that you can put in. And when you look at each one of those running backs, just they different abilities. Like you look at Jeremy Wright, he's a guy who has the quickness, who can catch the ball, can run behind his back. Dominique doesn't have the speed that Jeremy or Sonoris has. Sonoris has a ton of speed. I mean, once he gets outside, he's going to be able to outrun a lot of people. But each one of them just bring different abilities to the table. So they all will be, we will play all 3 of them, but one guy will be the feature guy.
Why do you prefer to have one guy rather than change the tone?
I think a lot of times you have to get the guy in the flow of the game. So when you alternate in and out, he never gets into the flow of the game. So it's just about just getting him into the flow of the game. And now once he gets into the flow, then if he's really playing well, you just leave him in there and let him play the game.
Charlie, you talked about the kicking game. What about your place in the career? When will that decision be made? And what don't you like? What are they not doing that isn't pleasing you?
Well, what you don't like, we're missing a lot of field goals at practice, and there's just no consistency there at all. And with Wallace and Nakatani both, both of those guys that get a lot of opportunities to kick. Coach Carter is going to make that decision, but we do have to settle on a place kicker. But it's just the consistency of both of them. Even with the punting game, one time they may hit 1, it may go 50, the next time it may go 20. But it has to be the consistency where it's there all the time.
The one thing you've said from the beginning is you want leadership. Where is that coming from, and is it there?
Well, I always say this with a young team. We only have 9 seniors, but the seniors they are doing a better job of leading with Cup, with Mario, with Stein, with Daniel Brown, with Andrell, with Radcliffe. You have a group of guys that are trying to lead, but still, we're playing so many young players that And I tell our younger players like a Teddy, like a Preston Brown, don't be afraid, Brandon Dunn, don't be afraid to step up and be a voice of this football team. Because at some point, all of you are going to need one another. And so right now, even with the coaching staff, I told them kind of back away and just see if we can get a guy who's going to step up and go lead this team. Stein does an unbelievable job with it.